Hey y'all, it's another episode with the right compassion. If you haven't listened to the episode called The Fourth Quarter, oh, you are in for a special treat. I know we are all tired and just kind of running on fumes, but I challenge you to go back and listen to that episode as it will encourage you and help motivate you to push through the remainder of the school year. Remember, we've always got to be the light and let it shine. So I'm so excited to process this episode with Alaska native Elizabeth McGee. So let's just check it out. Let's listen in on how she gives us some words of wisdom as she processes this episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another processing episode at The Right Compassion. I am so excited to have my really dear friend, Elizabeth McGee, which is also an amazing school counselor. So Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about where you're from and what school, any shout outs?
Okay. Well, thank you, Ashley, for having me on your podcast. I am super excited. I've just met you when we were at School Counselors of the Years. I got to share a stage with you, and we have blossomed as friends. And I just admire our connection and our collaboration from afar. And I look forward to doing this podcast. I work at a separate day school. So I work at Whaley School here in Anchorage, Alaska. And we are a K-12 school, and our students are sent to us due to behavior reasons from a neighborhood school. So they are sent to us, we work on the skills, and the ultimate goal is that the students do go back to their neighborhood schools. However, we do have graduates from our school, and they go on to do great things.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. And so all of our listeners, I am so pumped just to have Elizabeth's perspective, coming from Alaska. Sometimes I feel like, Liz, we kind of get a little bit complacent in our practices as far as, looking at our current situations where we are within our states. But when you start to, connect with other school counselors and other stakeholders across the states, you really start to realize that, number one, you're not in it, for yourself. Like, you're not in certain challenges or certain pits by yourself. There are actually other people that go through similar things, and they're able to help you and give those testimonies of just success and resilience to push you through. So if you have not listened to the fourth quarter on The Right Compassion, I encourage you to do so. So you might want to hit the pause button, listen to it. But now we're going to dive into what that means. And so with the fourth quarter, I really wanted to have that episode speak to how to end the rest of the school year. So as you know, it is March, right? And I always say March, April, May, March, April, May, I know some are year round, but when you start to look into going through those summer months, things are really hard. And so when I look at, the seasons and the different time quarters of the school year, that fourth quarter is really, really imperative and really, really important, not only just for our elementary school students, but look at it for our high school students. I mean, they're about to make some really big decisions and walk into their own realities and future goals. And so one of the questions I wanted to ask you first, Liz, is if you could tell us a little bit about what did you personally take as a professional school counselor listening to this message?
Well, I did my homework and I listened to it numerous times because I really wanted to reflect on your message. And as I reflected, I know that I must be that light for these students of mine. I have to be that light. I have the power to be the motivator for my students to end the year on a positive note. And I want them to end on a strong note. And I have the skills to maintain and prosper from, through over the summer. And if they're returning next year, and if they're not, into life. So the fourth quarter is an important time of the year, but we're coming to the end of the school year, and as a professional school counselor, like I said, I have to be strong for my students. It's extremely tough for many of our students because school is their safe haven, and they do know that the end of the school year is coming, and where is their support system going to be? Right. So as I reflected that, I wanted to make sure that my job is to continue to have the passion within me, to remain positive, and teach the skills to my students so that they can maintain with strategies over the summer. For my senior,
I love how you said, sorry to interject, but just I hear you say passion and getting into the purpose and just really knowing the impact of your role. Because, I say it every single time that us as professional school counselors, like, we are the light. I feel that we are that source of resilience, that we're going to teach it, we're going to model it, we're going to empower you and leave you with something, because we know that we're not always going to be with our students. So it is important, for us to use our gifts to pour into our students so that when they're away, they're able to, make those applications. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's got to come from within, Ashley. We have to remain to understand our profession and really take it from within. We have to be self-aware of our likes, our dislikes, how we want to leave. One of the words is, I want my students to know that I believe in them. I care about them. I want them to know that they're going to go out and do great things. So with my seniors, I make sure I give them my business card. And it's a way for me to track my seniors, but it's also a way for them to connect with me after they graduate if they should have to. And I know that I planted the seed of hope in my kiddos when they call me back and they're in their 30s now and they're asking me, what do I do with my child? Or, Mrs. McGee, I never got the time to thank you for what you taught me. Or, Mrs. McGee, thank you for being there. I'm really in a bad space right now. Do you have some guidance for me? I get those calls and I know that I planted that seed of hope because they have somebody to reach out to.
And isn't that awesome? Like, it's almost going back to when we talk about Rita Pearson, every kid deserves a champion. And it sounds like you are like that, just consistent champion. I mean, look at that. When you're saying, you have, and you look good, by the way, Liz.
Thank you.
Students, as old as 30 coming back to say, I know someone that can help me. Oh, that warms my soul, because you have already discovered just, all of, the sowing that you put in place with those seeds, and you're watching them blossom. And when they need a little bit of watering or a reminder or some sunlight in order to continue growing, you didn't just stop at the school. You didn't just stop at the year. You're continuing to have the hand pulled out forward appropriately, right? And it's still professionally, but then even past that, building that personally. And I believe that, with so many things happening in our school system, that it is so crucial right now to have that piece involved, because we've gotten away from just community, to where it's school system, and just our homes. And it's like we live in these separate lanes, but we've got to learn how to connect together. I love, going back in the day, when the teacher, lived a couple of streets down, from your house, and just being able to be vulnerable and to have disagreements, but still work together. So that's amazing. So tell me, based on you being this, amazing continuing hero for your students and for your families and for your community, especially in Alaska, right? Mostly rural. What advice would you give just school counselors and educators regarding this message on this episode? Because I know that, a lot of our audience are school counselors, but then, I'm hearing some educators that are like, we want some too, in their roles. What advice would you give, regarding the fourth quarter?
You know what? I would remind us to remain patient, encouraging, empathetic, and understanding of the needs of our students, because I think we forget because we're tired, but so are our students. Yes. They're tired as well. We're human. So we have to remember that. I also want to encourage to take the time to listen, understand, guide, and motivate. And we encourage our young people that it takes grit, hard work, self-reflection to keep going. And if you can remember those things, it helps to move forward. And most importantly, we are tired. Our students are tired, and we cannot take care of others if we don't take care of ourselves. So self-care has to be in place.
Ooh, look at you. And she gave you an action. She gave you a reminder, but then she told you to take some action. I couldn't agree with you more. And I just do believe that we have to acknowledge, and I've said it, throughout my keynote of, review, reflect, reform. It's like we have to acknowledge that we are both humans. Our students have feelings too. They're tired. We're tired. We need to do what we need to do in order to heal and recover. But then I love just also that action behind it. So we still have to move forward, and we still got to finish the rest of the school year no matter what. So I feel like we can do it either two ways. It can be, an easy, fast, whatever, and, kind of start to see things just kind of crumble down before us and experiences the consequences of those choices. Or we can, like I like to say, throw out some watch ride. We can stay on that harder but worth it track and keep it moving. It's hard, but it's so much, it's worth it, because it's going to give us and the students, all those things that we will want to achieve for our goals. Well,
absolutely.
I thank you, Fran. Any, last few words of wisdom?
Yes.
Before we close out?
I want to thank you, Ashley, for believing in me, that I'm a true leader, allowing me to remember to keep the light on for my kids, that I am that light and I need to continue to shine it, and that I am passionate that we can, as professional counselors, do a great PK to post-secondary avenue work for our students. And I just want to leave this. I had posted it on my Facebook, and it was a young person that was doing a quote. But I really want to be the person, I want to be the reason someone feels welcomed, seen, heard, valued, and most importantly, loved. And that's what I want to be for my students and staff that I work with.
Well, you're that for me too.
Oh, yes, I am that for you too, girl.
I'm like, you really are. You are such a ray of sunshine, and I'm so, excited to see your journey. And I'm just loving all of these connections with us as school counselors across the nation, and really making this big movement, to be the change that we want to see, because we have the best careers and the best just certifications and just professional expertise just ever. I feel like we are gifted with something that sometimes the world doesn't understand, but we are shining that light. And I do believe that our roles are becoming more evident, and we're helping our staff members, our teachers, our principals, our other stakeholders. And so we'll just keep rocking. Well, absolutely. Yes. Well, thank everyone for tuning in to another episode of The Right Compassion. Today's episode, processing the fourth quarter, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take care.